You know, on our TV show, on The Big Picture last week, I spoke with for a full half hour, so you can see it over at conversationswithgreatminds.com, former Reagan and George H.W. Bush advisor Bruce Bartlett. Bruce worked in the White House. He was an assistant undersecretary of the Treasury. He was a Republican strategist. He's got the best Republican credentials I think I've ever seen in my life. Not only is he a Republican, he's also a radical truth teller about the state of his own Republican Party today. Yes, he still calls himself a Republican. Here's a little clip of what he said to me last week.
What I really think, which is that they're all either crazy or stupid. I mean, it's the things have changed so dramatically since the days when I first got involved with Republican politics, when the Republican Party was the party of ideas, and now it's the party of crazy people. Ignorant Tea Party people who know nothing and are proud of it.
When Bartlett was talking about those proud, ignorant, crazy people, he was also referring to the gun nuts who have taken over the halls of Congress and the rest of Washington's politics. Over the weekend, just 24 hours after the Connecticut shooting massacre, Bartlett made his views on gun control very clear, calling out the gun nuts on Twitter. On Saturday, he tweeted, "Idea. Restrict gun ownership only to the types of guns in existence when the Second Amendment was adopted." Good one. He followed that up on Sunday by tweeting, "Southerners are the only ones who need guns to protect themselves from their own government." Bartlett even did the unthinkable. He called out Fox so-called News' coverage of the tragedy in Connecticut, tweeting, "Fox bans gun control advocates. Fair and balanced, my ass." End quote. Bruce Bartlett is the last of a dying breed. He's a sensible Republican. And that's a real tragedy, both for the Republican Party and for America, that the party doesn't disavow the gun nut crazies it considers part of its base. Case in point, Larry Pratt, who's been a frequent guest on this program. Here he is talking to Chris Matthews.
So you're like Sharon Angle out in Nevada, who said we need the Second Amendment rights when our politicians get out of hand.
That's what the Second Amendment is all for. She's not making that up.
So how would you use your Second Amendment rights if you didn't like the way your senator or congressman was representing you?
Well, we have a political action committee, and we try to beat
No, but how would you use your Second Amendment rights, which you're now extolling?
By being prepared. We don't have to go and shoot anybody.
Well, what do you have the threat, though?
I think it bothers lawmakers that we do have that capability, and sometimes they kind of let it loose when they're not quite in control.
So, Larry, it's not just the right to use guns to protect your home. It's the right to use guns to take on your government.
The government has been overboard.
Yeah. Pratt actually said that Americans should be ready to take on our elected officials with guns. This is an echo of Nevada Republican Senate candidate Sharon Angle's comments that if Republicans don't get their way in Congress and with the White House, Republicans should be ready with Second Amendment remedies.
Our founding fathers, they put that Second Amendment in there for a good reason, and that was for the people to protect themselves against a tyrannical government. In fact, Thomas Jefferson said it's good for a country to have a revolution every 20 years. I hope that's not where we're going, but, if this Congress keeps going the way it is, people are really looking toward those Second Amendment remedies. They're saying, my goodness, what can we do to turn this country around? And I'll tell you, the first thing we need to do is take Harry Reid out.
Yeah. For the record, Thomas Jefferson called for a constitutional convention every 19 years, not a revolution every 20. Anyhow, you see, it's nothing new. Republicans and their gun nutter base have been talking like this for years. They even have cute little rationalizations for it. Here's John Lott, also a frequent guest on this program.
In my research, I've talked to dozens of people who have been present at these horrible events over time, and the feeling of utter helplessness is just overwhelming for these individuals. I mean, it's hard to think of something more terrifying than being helpless there when one of these attacks occur. Look, there's one common feature across these attacks. All the ones the president mentioned, you go back to from 1950 at least on, with only one exception, all the multiple victim public shootings have occurred where more than 3 people have been killed, have occurred where guns are banned. We try to make an area safe by banning guns. But what happens is it's the law-abiding good citizens who obey the ban and not the criminals.
Yeah, the good old more guns cause less violence argument, and sort of a gun-based variation on their 2012 theme that more rapes would equal fewer pregnancies. Remember that, Todd Akins? Michael Moore, if only the first victim, by the way, this kid's house, his first victim was his mom. This kid's house was not a place where guns were banned, contrary to what John Lott just said. So Michael Moore tweets, if only the first victim, this young man's mother, had been a gun owner, she could have stopped this before it started. Right. Of course, they were her guns. Anyhow, there's this also gem from Tea Party Congressman Louis Gohmert.
And hearing the heroic stories of the principal lunging, trying to protect Chris, I wish to God she had had an M4 in her office locked up. So when she heard gunfire, she pulls it out, and she didn't have to lunge heroically with nothing in her hands, but she takes him out, takes his head off before he can kill those precious kids.
Yep, nothing says safe learning environment like a teacher having a military-grade assault rifle under her desk. These are not the things that normal, rational people say. Our nation has given airtime and entertained legislation from the crazy gun nuts in Washington for far too long. And in the meantime, every decade, nearly 1 million Americans are shot and far more are killed than by Osama bin Laden. So my suggestion, go to callcongress.org to get the phone numbers. You can call your members of Congress and tell them to stand up to the NRA. If you're a Republican, let your party leaders know you're sick of the gun violence in this country, and let your news media know you're tired of the crazies dominating the debate on the air, because one day your life, too, might depend on it.